Oh, shoot. All right, we're going to have some fun here. All right, so we got a couple of people joining. We got right at 10 a.m. Okay, let's see. Check out my volume up so I can hear y'all. Jeff, you hearing me okay? All right, good. Sure, got this up. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get this thing rocking and rolling. I see we got Mia, Jeff, Jake, Ray, and Chris. And who else do we have? I know that Jerry is going to be joining us a little bit. Um, let's see. Awesome. All right. Well, I got some friends of mine here. I got one more that's going to be joining us. And this is the activity call. If you're here for the first time, we are part of the Alliance. We are the Alliance. You are with us. You are part of our Alliance. And typically, Andy Albright himself will host this call. He's the guy that started the vision for the Alliance many years ago. He is out flying and he is out in Reno working hard. We appreciate him hopping on his jet and flying out and serving. I heard they was having a great time in Reno. I heard it was so crazy. People were swinging from the chandeliers like monkeys, man. It was just crazy what was going on out there last night. That's at least the rumors and stories that TMZ was picking up. So, but with that said, I will tell you that, hey, Andy asked us to cover today and just to keep things moving. And, you know, as we're 2 weeks left in the year, and it's amazing. As crazy as year it's been, to see how fast it's going is pretty unbelievable. And in addition to just being privileged to be here, I'm just excited because I see how much our business for Noah and I has grown, and to see other people that have had some major growth this year and some fast growth. And so one of the things is we were talking to Andy the other day, he said, Mike, hey, if we could identify and help people see some of the characteristics that are driving people's growth and helping them move fast. And so we've got a number of stories here today that we're going to get into. And so if you're here, I want you to hear the stories because everybody that's grown has had to make a change. And it had to change some things. And we're going to be talking about what they changed. We're going to be referencing a couple things. We're going to be covering some of the basics that they had to change that relates to the 8 steps and what people have done and how they've really looked at that and looked at themselves. So we're going to be getting into that, but you're going to hear some fun stuff. And hopefully as you hear these stories, if you're listening, I can just get you to picture you in some of these stories and picture yourself with the growth that some of these folks are seeing. So, but I like to look at the leaderboards. In fact, what's funny is you're going to see some of the people here today on these leaderboards. I didn't know what was going to be on the leaderboards before I handpicked the people. It's just funny how that works out, right? But hey, Stephen, if you go ahead and pull up some of the leaderboards, I want to start there because I think it's going to be a good platform to get some of these names out. So I'll start at the bottom up, but the people that have issued 10,000 plus a week, Karen, that is part of Kyle Weinberger's team. Kyle found himself a good one with Miss Karen there. So that's exciting to see my buddy Kyle Weinberger out there in the hunt, making some good things happen. Karen Hunley, Tucker Parrish, part of Brandon Ashley Beal's team. I know Brandon Ashley up there with Andy, 10,500 on 6 apps. James and Pam Alera with 12,000 in production. Part of Joseph Duke's team. In fact, what's crazy is they just had a $220,000 annuity issued this morning. That'll be in next week. So you'll see them up there next week. So quick shout out to them. Monica Workman, 12,600, part of Jake and Bell Krause's team. Good to see someone because right above them, you see Jake and Bell Krause at 12,700. So it's funny. Speed of the leader, speed of the pack. Way to go, Jake and Bell. Paul and Sam Miniquito, I was just texting him asking how he was doing. I see he issued 13,300. I guess he's doing pretty good. Good job, Paul. Katrina Gustin, cooking along, 14,500. Debbie Ben up there with Snowstorm and all, 17,000 in premium, 16 applications. Megan Wood, again, should we be surprised? No, 17,600 on 35 applications. Just consistently, she may not be number one every week, but she's number one because she's in the top 5 or 10 every week. Just consistent work ethic. Fennell Esterel on Andy Riddle's team at 21,000. Way to go, buddy. 5 applications. Chuck Betts, part of Brant Swindell's team, 22,000. I'm going to guess that might be a big annuity. And then Jake and Vray, who happen to be here with us today at 35,300 on 7 applications. I know there's a big annuity, which you'll see coming up here. So nice job, guys. How's that feel? Is that your biggest annuity, Jake and Vray?
Yes, that's our biggest annuity. Prior to that, I think the biggest one was about 115,000. So fired up.
That is cool. All right. So 115,000 to 312,000. That's a game changer. So today's paycheck. Y'all want to share how big your paycheck was today?
$14,000.
And that don't cover other stuff in the rest of the week. That's just today's paycheck.
That's just today's paycheck.
So Santa's going to be showing up at the Joseph household. Okay, he's coming in big. All right, we'll get some of that. All right. So on the annuity side, Avencio Leon at 10,000, Amy and Joe Black at 10,000 issued. Abel and Alma Luna, part of Georgia Intershock's team at 14,400. Jan Miller at 16,000. Way to go, Jan. Eves Monet on Minerva's team at 27,000. Rita Casper on Paul Roberts' team at 40,000. Jason Tawny Carey popped in a 50,000 annuity. Chris and Courtney Long a $56,000 annuity. James and Pamela a $96,000 annuity plus the 221 that just popped in today. Monica Workman a $126,000 annuity. Chuck Betts $226,000 annuity, and then Jake and Rita $312,000 annuity. Hey, annuities are popping with all the uncertainty. Well, the market's done well, and then its gain this year. It's been a little bit, schizophrenic. And we don't know what it's going to do next year. And a lot of people are looking to lock in the gains that they feel fortunate to have made because they don't know what's going to happen. They just don't know. And so our job is to help people that are dealing with thinking about this uncertainty, lock in the gains and continue to work with Chris Norris, continuing to use the Safe Money book. If you don't have a copy, get yourself a few. It's a great edifying tool, especially if you happen to be a co-author or if you got someone that you're working with. If your manager is a co-author in here, you can say, hey, my boss helped write this book. I think y'all are going to like it. So it's a good tool to use. Okay. All right. Keep going with some more of these leaderboards, Stephen. Drop down. Okay. So our total sales, this is our submitted premium because you got to submit it before it can get issued. And so just scrolling through here, Justin and Sydney at 10,000. That's the Balix. Stephen and Holly. Steve has been just consistently popping apps. 10,600. Dan and Diana Mirdo on the Cats team, 10,800. Jeremica Edwards at 11,008. Jeff Turner, who's with us here today. Wave Jeff, 11,900. Linda Goebel out of Kansas City on the Cats team. Cats team showing up big on the submit this week, 12,000. Debbie Bennett, 12,800. Robert Wilson, my buddy Sarge at 13,000. Marcus Richardson at 14,000. He's got his little brother watching him now. Marcus, you cannot go backwards. Your brother, I know he's watching you. You got. It's like I heard once, when you hire somebody, you give up the right to be average and ordinary. That's your time to step up. But if it's your brother, you got to be above that too, So, Marcus, no pressure, but we need you to perform. Kyle and Janina Wilson at 14,000. Michelle Collin at 16,000. Brian Rojas at 17,000. Isaiah Osuna, part of Marvin and Rachel's team, up there hanging out with Andy at 24,000 on one app. Nice job. James and Jane Hill, 25,000. My buddies. Marvin and Rachel Osuna. Again, you hire your son, you give up the right to be average and ordinary. 26,500. Mia with us today. Mia, nice job. 27,100. Fanel Estoril on Andy Riddle's team at 34,000. And Joseph, too, popping 116,000 with 5 applications. Got some big ones in there. Now, we've been talking personal production. Let's just slide over on the recruiting side because you have the ability to make a great first-year income. And by selling, you've got the ability to create some passive income and renewals. In fact, Robbie Kraft has texted me. We were FaceTiming this morning, some cool things that are coming up on the arc in January to show you to break down your first-year commissions and your renewals. So you can show people, hey, yeah, I'm building passive income. You'll be able to take a screenshot of your commission statement and say, here's all my commissions. In fact, isn't that wonderful with the ARC? So some of y'all have been with us. You didn't know any other differently. Some of you know we do business like you might be writing business with 8 carriers. Can you imagine having to look at 8 carriers to figure out how much you were going to get paid this week? And the fact that one click on the ARC, you can do that and get one simple screenshot, send it to a friend. Well, now you're going to be able to look at it coming up and see your first year commissions and your renewals broken out and then the total. And so if somebody's wondering, well, how's this passive income work? Well, let me show you. Let me show you how much mine is. It's going to be wicked simple. So we talk about passive income, and then the override income and GLOW is already broken out. So people say, how's this GLOW bonus work? Well, let me show you mine. I got GLOW first year commissions and GLOW renewals. In fact, it's going to have a drop down. So it's going to show you total first year commissions and then your total renewals. And you'll be able to drop down and see the breakdown on the renewals of how much from personal production, how much renewals from overrides, how much renewals from GLOW. So that's all coming. So they're working hard on the ARC to make that even better, but it just made me think of that. So in selling, you're building your first year income, you're starting to build passive income. And oh my gosh, with this Medicare stuff and the renewals there, it's crazy. It's crazy as you start to learn that and have other agents. It's just going to, the level of passive income you are going to build, it's going to create value for you and other agents on your team is crazy good. I mean, if you're having a bad day, just start thinking about the future because it's, oh my gosh, it's not like the future like what's going to be like in 10 years from now. I'm like, here's the future like starting in a few days, or it's like starting now, really, what you're building. But coming back, I want to jump into the recruiting side. I get excited on the selling and what you can create there, but then, hey, the other way to ramp this thing up is with your overrides. And in order to get somebody selling, we got to recruit them. We got to get them to believe in what we're doing. And so Andy Riddle popped 3 agents in width. Paul Roberts found 3. Terry and Tia Edwards found 3. The ABTF red team popped in 4. Delia Reyes 4 on the Jason Tawny Carey team. Stephen Holly Davies with 4. Austin Heater out of Charlotte with 4. Marilyn Martin Ward with 4, part of Mike Maurice's team. David Cash Tampa. What a name, man. Cash Tampa. It's like, and Tom Brady thought he had a cool name going to Tampa Bay called Tampa Bay. I think Cash Tampa is a better name. So we got that. Joseph 2 with 6. The ABTF blue team with 6. And Olga and Jason Mathis with 7. Those guys are rocking. Proud of them. All right. Let's see. Final expense. You see Mia, 3 apps on final expense. Those are some big ones, Mia. 3 apps for $26,000. We got some others. But I think what I'll do is we got some other leaderboards talking about what got issued, but I think we've hit the highlights on here. We're going to get into our content of what I really want to focus on today. As we got some just great stories that I really want to make sure we've got enough time for. So with that said, Mia, I'm going to talk to you first, Mia. I'm getting to know you better and better. We got to hang out down in Florida last week. And some people know your story, some people don't, but let's start kind of a couple things. What were you doing before you found the Alliance for Work?
Okay. Hey, Mike. Hi, guys. How my friends? My name is Mia. Mike, thank you so much for having me on this call today. Always honored to be able to hang out with you. And yeah, we had fun last week in Florida. So that was great. Before this, I actually was working in corporate America. I was an analyst. I got a degree in supply chain management. So I was working for Bank of America, but that was my very last job.
Okay. And were they paying you real good when you was over there?
I mean, it was one of those situations where I had a lot of people saying, oh, you're making great money and they pay you so good. And then I have other people saying, golly, you're slaving away, you're working this job. And are they really paying you what you're worth? To me, I didn't think for what I was doing, I could have been doing construction and I was really grateful to be able to sit in a building and work in a cubicle and all that stuff. But for the mental drag on my brain, no, they were not paying me enough for that. Nowhere near.
All right. So you got started with us and I think your first full-time year, what was that?
My first full-time year, I made $54,000.
54,000. That was 29. That was 2019. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, that was 2018. So from April to December.
Okay, got it. And then so in 2019, what'd you hit?
67,000.
Okay, and what'd you do this year?
I'll end the year at 150,000.
All right, so you went from 67 to 150,000, folks. That's like 120% increase. Okay, just if you're doing the math. Who here has gotten 120% increase in your compensation in corporate America in 1 year? Anybody? I don't see anybody else raising their hand. No. Okay. So you moved your income from 67 to 150,000. That's crazy. And I mean, you had a little bit of a nice jump from 18 to 19, but going from 67 to 150, that's a big jump. That's fast growth. Talk to us, Mia. I mean, did it happen where like Terry and Tia just started giving you the good leads all of a sudden? Like, did somebody give it to you and just, here you go, we love you so much, or did you have to change?
Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be nice somebody just gave it to me? No, what Terry and Tia did do, they got on me and they really told me, like, Mia, if this is what you want, you know, I can be a little bullheaded sometimes, but they really showed me the ropes. But yeah, it was me having to change. A lot of it was just I knew that, you know, I had a big mental block, and I would talk to Riddle about this too. It was, and I even think I talked to Jane Hill about it. At the very beginning of the year when we went to NatCon, I was wondering, how do I get past this point of, okay, I have enough money to pay my bills and to maybe go out to dinner on the weekends. How do you get to that next level of, I have more than I need? And what I started realizing was that I wasn't in that place yet, but I needed to put certain things in place to be able to force myself to work, to be able to, you know, do the things that I needed to do to make my income increase. So one of the things that Terry had talked to me about was getting an office, you know, having staff. So that's what I started doing. I started investing more. When you invest more, it requires more money, but it also as you're increasing your income, it makes you stretch and become a better person. So I had to become a manager, not only to my agents, but also to my staff. And I had to become this person that it was so uncomfortable, but it was necessary in order for me to grow. So I'm looking to go way beyond that next year. So all because of that, just change it.
So change. So you talk about being accountable. So like, if you talk about some of the ways that, like, what were some of the silly ways that you might have been unaccountable? Like, you look at if we don't go into too dark a spot there, what were some of the things that would get you off track, or how would you be unaccountable?
Oh my gosh. So I remember last year, I would go take myself on this roller coaster, right? This emotional roller coaster, really high highs, really low lows. And they would always say, Mia, just stay in the middle, stay even keel, never, you know what Andy says, don't jump off the bridge or run through the streets naked and don't jump off the bridge when it's going bad. I was that person, like I was up and down. And so I remember there were days where I would, you know, just drive to an appointment. I would get no-showed all day. And Terry would have to like coach me through it, like, Mia, just come on, like get it together. So what I had to start doing was I had to start realizing that there's ebbs and flows of business. Some days are going to be high, some days are going to be low. But Jane Hill said another thing that really stuck out to me. She said, you might have a bad week, you might have a bad day or a bad month, but you'll never have a bad quarter. And I've seen that in my business. So yeah, it was a lot of those, just being the type of person that was up and down. And when I would get down, Mike, I wouldn't work, you know, and I would be so stuck on what was going bad. And I would feel so discouraged. Now it's just, you know, I had a day of appointments where I didn't get to make any sales on Monday, but so what? I got out there and went forward and made a bunch of sales on Tuesday. So it just doesn't matter. Just stay even keel.
There we go. Well, that's cool. And I love you talking about accountability for those, like, if you've not looked at the 8 Steps book lately, but like, just, you know, that is a 7th step here to success. And I'm just sitting here looking at it, and it says, you know, one of the things in here, be accountable for your actions, both good and bad. In doing so, you'll become more committed to your goals. You know, so when you just say, hey man, yeah, I take ownership of this good thing I did, or this bad thing I did, or I need to do more of the good and less the bad. When you start measuring it or looking and taking inventory, you definitely start to change and get more effective. The other thing that you said, I think that's in there is another way of putting it, just staying steady, is commitment to continuity leads to emotional stability. So commitment to continuity leads to emotional stability. And like, I see people that they let their actions get dictated by their feelings. I feel good, therefore I'm going to work. I don't feel good, like my girlfriend dumped me, therefore I'm not going to book as many appointments today. I'm like, ooh, that's dangerous territory. I'm like, you know, it should be more like my girlfriend dumped me, therefore I need to book more appointments because I need to get more money to get me another girlfriend.
True.
Because there ain't no romance without the finance.
That's funny.
But like the thought process there is if you will, you can behave yourself into a feeling if you're accountable to your work. Um, you know, it's like people say, well, man, I want to feel better. Yeah, well, if you want to feel better, if you will work steady when you don't feel good, you will feel good later. I mean, that's the biggest thing I've learned. We've gone through all sorts of but we feel very good about our business because we've worked steady throughout and it's yielded results. Whereas the people that work, oh man, I'm not feeling that good, they stop. Well, the results from when they worked come in, but now it's like, but their work was down here when they were feeling bad. They start working again. They said, oh man, I'm not making as much money. I'm working so hard. I said, no, you took a vacation when you felt bad. And that's why your cash flow is down. But I'm working hard. Yeah, you're working hard this week, but not last week, fool. And so then they change their work based on how they feel, based on the bad cash flow. And then they just keep boop, 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 up and down, up and down. If I get you just, or like your spouse will now oh, we didn't get as much money in this week. Yeah, that's because you got to tell her because she conned you into not working last week because she told you deserved a vacation. So vacations are for rich people. And it's like, come on now. It's like you're going to let your wife tell you or your husband tell you when you should work. How about you let your bank account tell you? There's no money in there and it's time to work. It's not a vacation. As you're building a business, you say, Mike, that's harsh. Oh, well, I'm sorry. For that, I apologize. But Mia, it's like that's some of the things I kind of hear you see. Maybe you weren't as extreme as some of these examples I've given you, but that's what I'm hearing you lay out there.
Yeah, it is. And a part of you mentioned being accountable, Mike. I'm so accountable now to my schedule. Before, I think that I didn't use my schedule the way that I thought I should have been using it. I knew that I had to have a schedule, right? But now, because it's so strict, because I have so much responsibility, I have to make sure that I'm working according to that schedule. So one of the things that I think really helped me this year, the pandemic has really caused a lot of people to have a decline in their business. And a lot of people at the beginning of the year when we were transitioning, when it first hit, everybody had to transition to being over the phone. And how are we going to work through our schedules? Now that we have to do everything over the phone for those 2 months. I remember sitting at my desk and literally I had body ache from sitting there for the entire day. But I knew that I had to do those. I had to work I had to run business, even though I couldn't be in the field. I had to be on the phone for 12 hours a day to be able to accomplish that. And now, every single day I wake up, I already know what I have to do. I already know what needs to be done. I have my assistant. She's keeping me on task. So it's like cheating your way to it. I kind of cheated. Like I put things in place to make sure that I'm able to hit those goals, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. Talk to me, Mia, a little bit about your recruiting. I know your personal selling, you stepped up through the pandemic. How are you doing it on the recruiting and hiring people prior to this year?
Prior to this year? Oh, God. Yeah. What's the next thing besides non-existent?
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Recruiting before this year was just like not a thing for me. I come from network marketing and I've recruited hundreds of people in my old company and I was just burnt out like that. It did not result to anything in that company. But when I came here and they're like, oh, Mia, you can recruit. And I'm like, I just want to sell right now, which to me, looking back on it was a mistake. I advise anybody, even if you're still in class right now, start recruiting now. Don't wait. So, but this year, so I just had this block on my mind, like, oh, I'm not going to recruit. But passive income, what gets better than passive income? What gets better than being able to wake up on the beach, but still get paid because you have people that are running business? So it just kind of clicked for me this year. I asked my assistant, I need 30 people a week that I'm talking to. I'm running 30 to 40 appointments a week. And now, Mike, I am so excited. We have people in Mississippi. I just got a guy named Phil. I think Phil's on the call right now. He's so excited. He came out of the gate running business. He's written, I don't know how many policies in Texas and in South Carolina, in North Carolina. It is just rocking. Victor up in Virginia. So I'm excited. but more so it's being able to share the dream with other people. The Alliance has really, really been a blessing to me. And I would just be a fool to just keep the information to myself, to hoard it and not allow other people to experience it. So I think that before I was very selfish and I was very self-serving. And now I'm trying to be that person who is giving and distributing this information so that other people can win too.
So like when we talk about the work, it's kind of what you're talking about. Is people say, no, you talk about recruiting. I said, well, guess what? Our business is selling and recruiting. So if you're selling, I'm like, I tell you, you're only doing half the work. He said, well, Mike, yep. That's not fair. You don't know how hard I work. I said, well, I'm not talking about how hard you work, but I am talking about what we do. If you understand how to build and grow something massive and how to impact more families, it requires that you do the work, and the work is selling and recruiting. Right?
Yeah.
So that's big. So awesome. Well, Mia, listen, I'm proud of you for acknowledging the need to change last year. And I'm hoping one person here hears that you recognize you needed to change and you took ownership of that, and you've more than doubled your income in 12 months. Proud of you. Thank you for that. Awesome. All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Let's get another story up in here. Jerry Burbage. Jerry, you able to share your video? I know you're running between appointments, and you were just kind enough to say, Mike, I think I can squeeze it in. So, dude, if you're available, pop your video on. If not, I got you. Let's see. There he is, the road warrior.
Mike?
Hey, boss.
What's going on?
Hey, we're doing good. We're doing good. Jerry, I just started to get to know you last week as well. And just real quick, tell people where you're from. Tell people what you did for work before you got rolling with us.
Cool, man. Hey, well, thanks for having me on here. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm from a little small town near Charleston, South Carolina, called Monk's Corner. Prior to the Alliance, I did construction, residential renovation, stuff like that. Got with the Alliance and started working part-time in 2018, around July or August.
Okay. All right. So you got started, and as I think you and I were talking about your income, and I think one of the biggest changes we've seen is the growth in your override income. So how much override income did you pull in 2019?
Maybe about $3,000.
$3,000. And how much override income are you pulling in so far this year and in 2020?
About 32.
About 32,000. That's a massive jump in override income. That's like whatever it is, 3,000. That's a tenfold. That's like 1,000% growth in your override income. So that's huge. And I heard a rumor that your team is on the cusp of hitting the agency manager. Is there some truth to that rumor?
Yes, sir. There's a lot to it. We are.
Okay.
We're knocking on the door. We're going hard at it to get it done this month.
That's amazing. Well, I'm fired up for you, fired up for your team. Andy Riddle's bragging on you, so that's awesome. Well, talk a little bit about for you to go from 3,000 in override income, and I know you're doing good on the personal production side. That's why you're out in the car now. But just what are the things that you had to do different? What's your story about what got under your skin here in 2020? What did you change? What's different about how you've been operating this year?
Yeah, man. For us in our business, this COVID Corona is the best thing that could have happened because can you still hear me?
Yes, sir. We got you.
Okay. I think my truck just turned off. So we have a pretty good knit little tight group local where we can get together. And whenever that happened, just like Mia was saying, having to be on the phone 12 hours, it forced us to everybody get on the phone and work together. So we opened
garage. We set up garage. We set up tables in our living room. And we just had people over every day, all day. Man, I was dialing, and I was having to run from the porch to the garage, back to the living room, helping new people, when they got somebody on the phone. So it forced us to start working together and really becoming a team.
Okay.
And then that's when it all started. And now I think we're starting to see the results from that. 9 months ago, 8 months ago, starting to come through now.
I think that's an important thing. Sometimes you're sitting there laying a foundation and you don't see nothing because everything's under the surface. You just don't see anything big popping up until, months later, right? And so I think you got to be putting that work in. What else? So in addition to pulling your team together and really working and serving and grinding through that initial phase of the pandemic, what else have you had to do and change about you?
I had to change, that right there made me change my work ethic, because you really got to. Then also reading more and getting, like I told you, when I read How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success, and where he just talks about being enthusiastic. So I started taking that appointments, but those are probably my two biggest things. Working more and just being more enthusiastic about the work and trying to communicate that with the team.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, that's big. So you said reading, and you said reading that book, How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success and Selling, which I saw Jeff hold up there. Were you a big reader before you got in the business?
I didn't know what a book was. I could read a tape measure.
All right. So you said that one book sparked something in you because you said, man, you just had to learn to do things with enthusiasm. And you know what's funny? It's like I've learned when I'm talking to people, doing interviews or talking to clients on the phone, people say, how am I doing? It's like, I'm always enthusiastic at first. Man, I'm doing fantastic. And you'd be surprised at how many people that spark and just the way you start every conversation will change the outcome of the trajectory of that conversation from that moment. How do you approach every activity? And you might be like, well, I don't like that part of my job. I said, well, nobody said you had to like it. You just had to do it with enthusiasm. I hate taking out the trash. Well, could you do it with enthusiasm? Throw it if you want to. All right.
Yeah,
Jerry.
I agree completely. And
go ahead.
No, I was saying I agree completely. Doing the things I didn't necessarily want to do, just switching my mindset and doing them with enthusiasm, to get the results that my wife and I both want from this.
That's big.
And she's a big part of that as well. She's a pusher, and she's done a lot for us, moving us forward also.
Okay. Awesome. Well, good. Well, listen, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you sharing kind of the change in the work and getting the team around and how you've had to leverage the reading. And some people are like, okay, well, where's this reading come from? Well, first of all, it's another one of those, it's one of those steps to success. It's step number 4. And in that step number 4, it's another way to pour into you. It's a way for Andy to know that you're growing when he can't talk to you. In fact, here's one of the craziest things. There will be people that will not tune into the TWC of the activity call when Andy is there pouring into you. So if I've had to learn to listen to the activity call of TWC like he's talking to me personally, right? But I know some people that don't. But they want Andy's one-on-one time. And I'm like, they won't. Andy can't give that much one-on-one time to everybody, but he makes time to be there Wednesdays at 12:30 and typically here on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And there are people that will call and text that have not bothered to tune in. But they want the one-on-one time, but they refuse to take advantage of this other time. And I'm like, God, that's just arrogant. It's disrespectful. And it's like, if I were talking to people here, it would just be to help them see that and take advantage of a CEO and a leader who's being available and transparent in this way. If anything, I think it almost drives me crazy that people don't realize how accessible Andy is. And it's almost like, I wish almost like your phone would like block you from calling Andy if you hadn't watched the activity call on TWC, you know? That'd be like some truthometer on your phone. So, but Jerry, good job. Proud of you. Proud of what's going on. We need you to grow faster and bigger in 2021. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. All right. Chris Manifold, I see you there. You look like you're out running appointments today.
I am. I'm outside of my next one. As soon as I'm done here, I'm walking in.
Okay, awesome. Well, cool. Well, hey, real quick, tell everybody where you're living and who hired you and what you did for work before you got rolling here.
So I'm here in Indianapolis, Indiana. I was hired by Megan Wood, and I've been with the Alliance, I think about 2 years now, and went full time here back in May, June area, and yeah, never looking back. So it's been a great ride so far.
Okay, well, cool. So, I think it'd be good to give some people some perspective. So you got started part-time like about 2 years ago, and were part-time until say May of this year. In your first 18 months in the Alliance, how much premium do you think you wrote cumulatively?
Well, I didn't look all the way back. I only looked back since January. So since January up until June, the amount of commissions that I earned was a little bit over $5,000. And so then I looked at from June until today, and I think I'm just under 50,000. So that's like a 10x in those two time periods. So yeah, definitely growing fast, and just working on listening to my upline, listening to you, listening to Andy, making sure I'm on the calls, and just trying to do my best to be teachable. And the more I do that, the more success I seem to have.
Okay, that's big. So you 10x growth through this year. That's crazy. Now, and I know part of it was you lost your job and you went and made a transition from part-time to full-time. As you made that transition, though, it's still just a 10x, just a crazy increase. What were some of the things that you had to change about you, as you were going through this? What are the things you had to change your behaviors? Obviously, you put in more time, but was that the only thing, or was in addition to working a little bit more, was there what were the other things that you really had to adjust?
Well, for me, I've held several positions. I've been in places where I've managed people, and I've had to work, and I thought I knew some things about how to approach these different activities that we got to do throughout a day to be successful. For me, the biggest thing that I've worked on is just being teachable, listening to what you have to tell me, getting out of my own way more than anything else has been the biggest thing that I've done that's made my growth happen. The more I do that, I still work on it. It's something I'm still working on and having to grow with. It's like I said, it's been a fantastic ride, but it's still something I wouldn't say I'm struggling with it, but the more that I do it and the better I get at it, the more it shows up in my bank account. So So I'm just grateful to you and to Andy and to Noel and to Megan. The more I listen to you guys, the better it gets.
In fact, I know we were just talking about paychecks, because I remember last week you had a $5,000 paycheck last week, and then you made $5,000 the first 5 or 6 months of this year. So I mean, just another example of how things have gradually changed. I think another area, like as we talk about, is your willingness to invest in leads and continue to ramp that up. Part of that combination of listening and trust, I think, is something you did a much better job of. But talk about that and how maybe that's even been a struggle for you to remember to reinvest as you were growing. Like, talk to us about lead investment mindset and what's your normal disposition And what have you had to do to stretch there?
So I don't think I'm alone in this. I hate spending money. You know, I like watching it come in. I don't like watching it go out. Right. I do understand, and I have always understood sort of in the back of my mind that you have to spend money to make money. You have to invest in your business in order to make it grow and to, you know, get to the places where I want to be. But that being said, that kind of goes along with the, you know, what we were just talking about in terms of being teachable. You know, I wanted to be able to maximize every single lead that was coming in. And I still want to, but at the same time, you can't be afraid to invest, because I've seen as you invest in leads, as you invest in, you know, other parts of your business, it doesn't have to be 100% efficient. You know, I think you gave me an example, and you may have to help me out with this, but an example of, would you rather have a business that brought in $1,200, but you know, cost you $600, or would you rather have a business that you know, cost you what was it, something like $1,200 and it brought in you know, $1,800 or something, whatever the numbers are.
Yeah, I'll give a better example. I think we said, would you rather have a business where you put in $100 in leads and made $1,000, or would you rather have a business where you put in $1,000 in leads and made $2,500?
Exactly.
You know, well, somebody said, well, you spent $1,000 leads. Yeah, but I made $2,500, netted $1,500 versus making $1,000 and net $900. $1,500 is, you know, 60% more than $900. So just understanding what you're trying to do and grow value as you're ramping up your production. And if you want to, for anybody else that's listening, just that little bit, are you understanding how growing your volume gets you up the super PAC higher? Do you understand how the renewal piece that you're building that's going to fill your back end money, and your renewal piece and buying a higher contract as you're growing your volume is massive to what you're doing, and your efficiencies will come later. And I think sometimes we can all be stuck in the position that we're at, where we're fearful of going backwards. Like, oh man, I'm just starting to make money. I don't know if I want to spend more. It's like, you've got to fight that spider monkey mentality. Y'all know the spider monkey story?
Yep.
So that's where, you know, sometimes we can be fighting the spider monkey mentality of hanging on to this profit we've just started to create. And the spider monkey is this monkey that, you know, he's got a little tiny hand. The way you catch it, you get a coconut shell, you drill holes about that big, you know, maybe 3/4 inch in diameter, maybe an inch in diameter. He can fit his hand in there. You put a peanut inside that coconut shell, and he'll grab onto that peanut. But then he can't get his hand out. It's stuck. He's got to let go of the peanut to pull his hand out. Well, he ain't going to let go of that peanut for nothing. And then a hunter comes along, pops him on the head, and he's eating, you know, raw monkey brains for lunch, or whatever he does to that monkey. I don't know. You know, monkey brains on the half shell. So, okay, bottom line is, it's like that. He's like dying because he can't let go of that thing. And so some people, like we use an example, sometimes it hits us in different ways. Like, I think you can get comfortable in your own level and forget to stretch to grow. And whether that's investing in recruiting, investing more in leads, or investing in staff, or investing in office space, what's the thing that you're holding on to that's stopping you from growing? So I think for you, you've learned to open up and let go of that short-term profitability and bust your lead flow up. And I know you've got a staff personnel, and I know other people have too, but these are the things as you try to take it to the next level of fast growth is, what have you got to let go of right now to have something bigger later? That would be a big piece of that. All right, Chris, it's been fun watching. In fact, how much premium? You had your record day of premium just the other day. How much premium did you write the other day?
Yeah, so in one day, I wrote $8,000 in premium, so 8,000 in AP. So I was super excited about that. That's pretty much when I was starting at the beginning of this year, that's what I was hoping to do for a month, and then not too long ago I was trying to do that in a week, and now I just did that. I wrote that in one day. So, and one of them's already issued, and it's already in the ARC. Like, it's already getting paid.
You wrote it on Wednesday. It got approved Wednesday. The commission data came over last night, and it's in the ARC. So you get there and get the money on Monday. What a country.
Yeah, amazing.
What a
Big one,
country.
too.
All right. Well, good. Chris, thank you for sharing it and talking about that bit about just, being teachable, communicating, and making those adjustments. Whoo-wee. All right. Jeff Turner, dude, let's tell the people
Hey,
a
Mike.
little bit about who you are. Thank you, Chris.
Oh, Mike,
Thanks,
thank
Mike.
you so much for having me on. I don't take this lightly. I love the leadership. I love putting faces to the names of all these leaders that I'm now seeing. But y'all, my name is Jeff Turner. Before the Alliance, I was a warehouse manager for Circle K. It's about as much fun as it sounds. I worked overnight, grossly underpaid for what we did. And it was just one of those things, it was a transition, and I absolutely hated it, Mike. And then coming into the Alliance has just been a life changer for me. It's crazy.
Wow. Okay. So from Circle K to running and building a team and creating some big things. It's like, I remember first hearing about Circle K. I don't think they had one where I lived, but I remember watching on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And they drive up and they're like, ooh, strange things are afoot at the Circle K. But that I'm probably dating myself. I'm going to sound old talking about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Okay. Oh, crazy. All right. So talk to us about what you've seen, Jeff, in terms of growth and income, like from where you were last year and what you're seeing this year.
Absolutely. So I don't know if anyone's like me, but I dabbled in the Alliance for a while, and I see all these leaders and these people making all this money. And I'm like, man, I want to do that. But I still just dabbled in it. So really my first year and a half, Mike, I made about 25 grand, extra, which when you're making 50,000 a year and you go up to 75, you're fired up, right? But then I'm like, okay, how do we do more? And this came from a lot of reading, 8 steps specifically, right? I had to listen was a big one for me, and I had to read to really expand my mindset. And one of the biggest things for me, Mike, was, and one of the quotes I love, it's, pressure can bust pipes or it creates diamonds. And I had to put pressure on myself and put myself out there in order to be successful. So about a year and a half ago, I quit my job at Circle K. And the first 5 months that I was full-time in the Alliance, I made about 70,000. This year is my first full-time year, and I'll finish the year with over 200,000 in income. So crazy difference. It blows my mind. I love it.
So from 50,000 to 50,000, 25,000 part-time, and then again, like the spider monkey, but you let go of that 50,000 full-time gig, and now here you are, and you've seen your income jump to 200,000, quadrupling what you made at Circle K with the safety of the job and salary and whatever else. So
absolutely.
Hey, that's awesome. So talk a little bit about, so in addition to being able to let go of that and jump in and move forward, talk to me more about the reading. Were you a big reader when you was working at Circle K?
I'm kind of like Jerry. What's a book? I was only reading in school when they made me read. And what I realized, Mike, is that it's not that I don't like reading. It's that I never found something that interested me enough to read. And I can tell you that creating a financial future for me, making a lot of money, being able to sit next to Andy Albright as a partner with integrity, that interests me. So these books that I read, and kind of like Jerry was saying, this is an incredible book, how I raised myself from failure to selling. The books that Andy Albright wrote, the 8 steps inside the circle, are massive for me. And then even a bigger one that I really like is, the David Goggins Can't Hurt Me. And these are really just telling you that, one of the other quotes I love is that when you think that you're completely done, you're completely wasted, you're completely tired, you've done everything you possibly can do, you've only done 40% of what your body is capable of. And so it doesn't matter how rich you are, it doesn't matter who your mama was, who your daddy was. Most people only live at the 40% threshold. And to get past that, you've got to push yourself, and that's where you achieve what we do here in the Alliance.
That's crazy. It's like pain tolerance, right? Can you live outside of your comfort zone? It's like, because your pain receptors start kicking in. I think when you get to that 39, 38, 40%, danger, danger, danger. It's like, and you want to believe it. And it's like, oh, I need to slow down. Oh, it's like, or, watch this. And sometimes here's the thing. Andy was sharing a conversation he had with someone as a single mom who's like, I want to spend more time with my kids. And I'm running my business and I want to spend more time with my kids. And that's why I'm here, but I just need more time with my kids. And he's like, yeah. So I got an idea. So let's look at how much time are you spending on social media? How much time are you spending with friends that ain't going anywhere? How much time are you spending on the Netflix? How much time are you spending cleaning your own house that you can delegate to someone else? How much time are you spending doing your grocery shopping you can have it ordered and brought to you? How much time? What if we took that, instead of sacrifice the time with your kids, how about if you took that time and put it toward your business? And it's just like, how could you be more respectful to your kids about showing them how to push harder and pay a price and spend less time on trivial stuff? And still, nobody said sacrifice time with your kids, but how about you sacrifice time with all the other crap that don't really matter that you ain't going to get a medal for?
That's good right there. That's really good.
So whatever that is, you just help people to see that. We can help some people have some breakthroughs. Now, you also talked about listening. So when you talk about listening, was that like listening to audio files or like listening to people like Paul Roberts and Andy Albright? What kind of listening? Because there's two types of listening when we look at that 8 Steps book.
Hey, Mike, that's a great question. For me, it was listening to the people that have already done it. It was listening to Kelly Haney. It was listening to Paul Roberts. And I think there's always that misconception, right? If anyone out here is kind of like I am, you listen and you're ready to respond. You've got that in the back of your head, that next thing you're going to shoot out there, right? And I had to change that. I had to listen to learn. I had to listen to really absorb the information that was coming to me, not try to defend myself. Oh, well, this is why I didn't do this, Mike. I just had a long day. I was tired. But I'll do it next time. Right. So I just really had to learn to listen, absorb what they were telling me. And a lot of times what Andy Albright does is he'll coach you, right, by saying something, having you go back and read. And it's like, you know what? I might have already done that, but there's something I probably missed, something that's really important. So instead of me telling him, yeah, I've already read that, I need to go back and really reread it and make sure that whatever he was trying to coach me on, I remembered. There was something I was missing.
You know what? That listening to learn versus listening to respond. All right, I got some tips. So if you're out there and you're struggling with that, here's how you might be just like that Jeff Foxworthy. You might be a redneck if. You might be a listening to respond if. If you say, yeah, but, if you catch yourself saying, yeah, but, you ain't listening to learn, your ego's too hurt and you're trying to defend your position instead of acknowledge what's being said. And that can happen. Watch this. It happens in selling, it happens in recruiting, and it happens when you're trying to get coaching. So watch this. If you ever heard us talk about AIM, acknowledge, ignore, and move forward, except just the acknowledge part, just simply restating what somebody told you and giving it a chance to sink in before you blab on is huge. So if somebody's giving you some coaching, how about instead of saying what you want to say, how about just repeating what was told and letting it sink in? So, Jeff, what I hear you saying is when I listen to Andy Albright, I probably need to slow down and think about what's he really trying to tell me as opposed to defending what I didn't do or what maybe he's accused me of doing and really try to understand his position.
Exactly.
Or whatever it is, if we can just learn to restate what the other person's telling us when we're trying to coach, as opposed to, oh, yeah, I already did that. Well, hang on a second. If somebody's telling you you didn't do that and they're coaching you, it's probably because you didn't. How about that? So it's more like, hey, Jeff, what I hear you saying is, it looks like I'm not doing these things and I got to change this. Is that what you're saying? And you might be feeling wounded because you just got called out. And you might want to think, oh, God, he just told me that I ain't doing this. Well, I thought I was. Well, Jeff, I kind of thought I was, but based on your observation, I'm probably not. Help me understand it because you see it different than I do, and I obviously need to change because that's why you're telling me this. Because here's what I'll tell you. If Andy Albright's telling you something, he's probably tried indirectly to tell you 5 other ways. Either he's asked you to read a book or he's told you a story. And so I would be like, if he's trying to tell you something directly, it's his last resort, he means it. So heads up, heads up, heads up, heads up. Take it personal and listen. That's so big. Jeff, I appreciate that. Look, we got another story we got to get to here with Jake and Ray. I know they're out. Ray's about to jump into a family, and I'm just excited for what they're doing. But Jeff, thank you for sharing. Jake and Ray, we got to tell people where y'all are from and maybe where y'all were at a year ago in your business. Just go ahead and hit us with that.
All right. Can you hear me good tonight?
I can hear you. Yes.
My name is Jake Joseph. I got my wonderful wife, Ray, on here as well, and she'll have the second to introduce herself. But we are here in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, just right outside of Albuquerque.
Cool. And what were you doing for work before you got started?
So for myself, prior to this, I was working in the movie industry here in Albuquerque, building TV sets, movie sets, working in that 60, 70 hours a week, kind of just real construction based is what it was. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And Ray, what was your background?
So prior to this, I was actually in the medical field. So I was a dental assistant, a medical assistant, and I was in school for nursing full time.
Okay. All right. Cool. So y'all have a lot going on. And how many kids y'all have?
Got two.
Two. Awesome. Okay. So kind of share with us, like, how much income were y'all making on a household basis before you got rolling? Annual income.
So, go ahead. Go ahead.
But between the two of us, annual income was right around 60, 65.
Okay. All right. So annual income was there. Now, y'all got started 2 years ago. So last year about this time, let's just kind of give some perspective on where y'all were at and how things are feeling and some of the stuff that y'all some of the decisions y'all were having to make a year ago.
So last year at this time, Jake had quit. So kind of back up, he had quit his job in June or early July of 2019 because we decided we were going to put our big boy britches on and try to jump into this full time. And last year at this time, it was obviously Christmas coming up. And I remember having a conversation with you and Noel and Joseph and Venus. We were crying because we didn't know where our mortgage was going to come from for January 1. Jake was, when I suggested, well, maybe we sell your dirt bike to pay the mortgage, he did it, but he was not happy about it. So, but we were just really, we were stressed out. We were hurting. We weren't sure, we weren't reaching out enough. We weren't being teachable. We weren't being, we weren't listening enough. And that's kind of where we were. We weren't even sure like how Santa was going to come to our house, truthfully.
So talk about, selling a dirt bike. It's like, how much was this dirt bike worth? How much did you get for it?
About $1,000.
How big a wound was that for you to have to at the time?
No, at the time it was rough, but we started listening more, and I was like, man, imagine how many dirt bikes I can buy. We start working some more, start getting a hang of this thing. So,
okay, so let's fast forward to this year. What's this year's income tracking to be?
Let's see. We just calculated that. We're right at 123,000.
123,000. So from when y'all quit your jobs, you've doubled your household income, and you really only started to figure things out or got humbled enough to figure them out faster about a year ago. So
right.
That's a pretty good story. All right. And like as we said earlier, today y'all had a 14,000 plus check just go in today as part of that total. That's amazing. In fact, if we looked at like the first half of the year versus the second half of the year, how much momentum have you built in your income?
Tremendous amount. I remember like last January, if we had 4,000 in income a month, that was like good for us. So then all of a sudden it's like COVID hit. So what was that, March or April? And we had our best month doing over the phone sales. And I was like, well, shoot, if we could do this over the phone, then we could really, we wouldn't be on such a tightrope. So I feel like just COVID, it scared us enough to just light a fire under our butts. And then, because we were not going back to what we were doing. We knew that for sure. So, but we had our best, I think I mean, I'm looking back on it, and if we used to issue 20,000 a month, I mean, we were fired up. And now if we don't hit 25,000 minimum, we're mad at ourselves. So it's just like that, you know, a lot of growth for us in the mindset and what we can actually do.
That's crazy how it just with working and changes. So as you're looking at like the 8 steps, what are a couple, like I think you talked about communicate and listen, but talk about the biggest things y'all had to change or that helped you get through this growth this year. What are the biggest things y'all have been intentional about changing?
So I think we both have like 2, but one that was both of us agreed on was step 8, communicating with a positive mental attitude. So that was a huge one for us, is just, you know, talking to each other and our uplines and our leaders and just eliminating the negativity, you know, not taking that phone call from a friend where it was just drama, anything like that. So I think for us, that's been the biggest one, is communicating with a positive mental attitude.
Yeah, I second that. For myself, it was not learning more about it. I never knew how much power is behind that from what we used to do and getting into this opportunity and being around the leaders. So yeah, step 8, you know, communicating with a positive mental attitude, not only with our leaders and with our team, but also within ourselves, was huge for me. And it, you know, it ended up turning me onto this book here, The Power of Positive Thinking, and just knowing, hey, I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. Like, it's there. I can do anything I put my mind to. It's just putting more focus into it, and it's acting the way into the feeling, whether the action is just saying it over and over again until I've said it so many times. It's like, without a doubt, that's me. I'm going to go do this today. So that was probably one of the biggest things for myself, seconding what Ray said.
Speaking it. So communicating to yourself. In fact, I was talking to somebody this morning who's fighting for Chiang Mai, and he started off by saying, well, I think I might have a chance at Chiang Mai. And he's like, I'm just not so sure, but I think so. And I'm like, I'm fighting for it. If maybe there's a shot, I'm like, dude, it's like, you ain't going to get it if you're sounding like that. I said, how about I'm going to get Chiang Mai? I got 14 days left in this year. Everything I write is getting issued, and I'm going to have more than enough in. And I got leads, I got time. Carriers are issuing business. Everything's going great, and I'm going to Chiang Mai. I'm like, you got to say it with conviction and enthusiasm when you're talking to yourself. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time believing yourself. I was like, the way you say it, it's like you're giving yourself an out. I was like, dude, come on now. So, yeah, you've got to talk to yourself. So communicating with a positive mental attitude is, how are you talking to yourself? How are you talking to your spouse? How are you talking to your team? How are you talking to your clients? How are you talking to the person that's coaching you? You got conviction. That's massive. All right. I'm hoping people listen have benefited from these stories. I hope if there's out there, if we get one more person to move to get them to agency manager in the next 90 days, can we get one more person to make some change to get them issuing 20, 30, 40,000 a month? I hope it's you. Have a great Christmas. We won't be having an activity call on Christmas Day, but have a great Christmas. We need you. Things are rocking. It's an amazing time. Let's keep going, guys. Rock on. Thank you.